Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Hope you had a wonderful day. My name is Stewart. I am the founder and lead financial coach at Do Better Financial. And thank you for joining our Meconomy Monday Facebook live stream. So, hi Chris, thanks for joining us today. I want to start off by giving a little shout out to a great group of actors that I saw yesterday at The Bodyguard. Yes, it's the movie that had Whitney Houston in it many moons ago. It was amazing. They did a wonderful job. It was their last night, so if you missed them, sorry, but they're still traveling around the country, so if you're not in Houston, you might be able to catch them. So I'm sure a few of you have seen on Facebook that I had a special announcement tonight. There are actually two special announcements. So I'm going to give you one now and one later. Treat you like the news. A little teaser. So the first one is, and some of you may have seen it if you're my friends on Facebook, I recently finished paying off my student loans. Yay! Freedom! So, I mean, all of my student loans. Like, there aren't any more that were taken out for my lovely education at Texas A&M University. Woo. So, you may be thinking to yourself, wait a minute, I thought you said you were already debt-free. That is true. However, I happen to have some of the most amazing parents on the planet. Shout out to Phyllis and Kenneth Stewart. Hi Ash, thanks for joining us today. They had taken out some loans for me that I couldn't see on my own credit report. I didn't know that they had. Now, had I done a little math, I would have known that the loans that I paid off weren't enough to pay for school, but I didn't. And for the last couple years, they had been just shouldering on and paying those minimum payments. And once I found out that they were doing it, I was like, oh my gosh, I feel horrible. This is for my education. I need to pay these. So I just finished doing that about a week ago, which is in perfect time for this video. Hi Darren, thanks for joining us today. It's in perfect time for this video because today's video is about going to college on a budget. So I've got 6 tips today. The first 3 are going to be for those people who are in the planning stages. So if you've got kids in high school, you know, maybe they're freshmen, sophomore, junior, senior, whatever age, or if you yourself are trying to figure out how to go back to school. And the last 3 are going to be for people who are in those practical, on the campus, you know, just drop the kids off at school stages. So let's start off with what I think is honestly the most important choice you can make. It is school choice. So I know a lot of people fall in love with campuses, and they can be absolutely beautiful. Hi Monique, thanks for joining us today. I know I love Texas A&M's campus. I really fell in love with the beauty and all of that, but in reality, it was not cheap. I did not get very many scholarships, and so most of that money was in the form of student loans. There are a lot of students who fall in love with campuses that are outside their state, and as we all know, there are these things called out-of-state fees, right? So that's an extra fee that they charge you for going to a school that's in a state other than the one where you reside, right? And some people figure out ways to get around that, but that's the basic premise. So here's the thing. Texas A&M was a beautiful campus. I loved going there. I do not regret it. However, I definitely could have chosen a cheaper school. I could have stayed at home and gone to U of H or TSU or even Prairie View because it's not really that far from where we are. But I didn't. I chose Texas A&M and it cost us a lot more money. It cost us a lot more money. I would want to encourage you not to just look at the prettiest campus. First thing you want to do is make sure that they have the major that you're looking for. For instance, if you wanted to major in you want to become a veterinarian, and you decide you want to go to U of H, you're probably going to be sad. U of H doesn't have a veterinarian school, right? The only school in Texas. I know for sure Texas A&M has one, but I think they might actually be the only one in the state of Texas. So going to U of H, you could probably get your science degree, you could get your prerequisites, you could get a lot of things done there, but you're not going to get your veterinarian degree from U of H. You would have to go to Texas A&M. So the first thing you need to know is, what do I want to do? Who has that major? And then you definitely want to look at who is the best in that field, right? So after you look at those things, you figure it out. So for me, it was business. I easily could have gone to U of H. Another way that you can definitely save money is not just going to a school that's close by where you can stay at home. It's also to use community college, which is something that I did. So there were some classes that I needed to take that were just general. They, you know, you got your Englishes, you got your basic math, you got your basic science and history, those things. I didn't need to take those at Texas A&M for whatever ungodly amount they charge per hour. I took those at an HCC type school. It's actually, it's called North Harris up here. But I took those there because they cost me like $150, $250 a credit hour, which is probably about a quarter of what it costs in A&M. And it was quick. I did them over this. I did those classes over the winter break. It's called the winter mini-mester. You basically go to school all day for about 4 to 5 weeks, and then you have taken an entire class. And they have similar things over the summer. So definitely utilize community college and local, particularly in-state schools. Make sure you do your research, know who's carrying the majors that you or your child wants to that you're pursuing. I hear you, Monique. I wish I had done more of my classes there too. Especially when you think about the fact that I know a lot of people really struggle when they go to schools like Texas A&M or UT or even U of H. Some of those classes are so big when you're young and in those what they call the 100 level classes where they're like surveys. You got 1,000 people in class and you're trying to take a math class. You can barely get a question in edgewise. So it can be very valuable to take it at a community college where you're going to have a smaller setting. You're going to be able to have more access to your professor. So that's number one. Number two is apply for all the scholarships. Okay, all of them. Will you get them all? No. But the more you apply for, the better chance you have of getting them. You won't get scholarships. 99% of the time, you will not get scholarships that you don't apply for. Hi, Stephanie. Thanks for joining us today. You're not going to get a scholarship you don't apply for. That's just the way it works, unless it's some kind of church thing and that you're the only kid that goes to that church that's in the right age group, right? Then you might get it, but you probably don't want to bank on that. All right, so apply for all the scholarships and work. Now, parents who are very, protective of your kids. I know that may sound like a 4-letter word that I shouldn't say out loud. Your kids can work. They can. I promise you it won't kill them. Now, the best times to get in a lot of work, to get that full-time job. Hey, James, thanks for joining us today. To get that full-time job is definitely in the summers and over those winter breaks. You can, that's right. Right. They don't know how to study, and community college definitely helps you build those skills. Hi, William. Thanks for joining us today. So when you're working over the summer, over Christmas, over whatever holidays you can, the best thing you can do is stash that money. You might be saying, oh, Christian, working your way through college, that's old, that's outdated, it's too expensive. Here's what I'm going to tell you. The less money you have to borrow, the better. So if it's $3,000 that you make, work study is definitely a blessing. We're going to talk about that in a second. If it's $3,000 that you make to get books, if it's a couple more $1,000s and it allows you to pay for room and board, the less loans and things like that you have to take out, that's just going to be better for you in the long run. You're going to have to trust me on this, okay? So I'll tell you this. For people who are worried about their kids working while trying to go to school, there is a balance that needs to be struck, and you need to know yourself and your student, but don't be afraid to push them. When you work between 10 and 20 hours a week, and this is average, so there are some people who can work 60-hour jobs and make straight A's, and there are some people who they're working 10 hours and they're struggling. It's going to vary, but in general, the research shows that people who work 10 to 15 hours, 10 to 20 hours a week are better at their time management, and they excel in school for a couple of reasons. One of them is they're not worried about their money. They're not worried about whether or not they're going to be able to eat. They know at the very least I got some food. At the very least I got somewhere to sleep, because I'm able to bring in this money and continue to keep up with some of my expenses. And it may not be all of them if you're working 10 hours a week, but if you get closer to 20, 25, you might be able to cover swinging, a few roommates and making sure you're fed, right? And I'll tell you this, I actually got better grades once I got a job. I got my first job. I was a bus driver. I know I don't look like one, but I was a great bus driver. I was a bus driver my junior and senior year of college, and I made the best grades while I was working because I had to manage my time. When I was living on campus and not working, it didn't occur to me that I needed to section off time for studying. All of a sudden it's 2 a.m. on a Thursday, and it's like, oh no, I didn't study for this test I got tomorrow. When I was working, my first thought is as I'm leaving classes, ooh, when am I going to study? Okay, I got work from such and such to such and such, and then it's going to take me this long to get, you're exactly, Phyllis, you're right. You value what you work for, and you don't waste your money or your time. right? So as I got further along, I started to figure that out. So number one, school choice is important. Number two, yeah, we all remember doing that. Oh, you probably made me driving the bus. It was fun. Number one, school choice. Number two, apply for your scholarships and work. Number three, only take loans for what you need. I'm going to tell you this. I had friends or associates in college. I can't say any of them were friends. I had associates in college that took out loans and would use their loans to like buy their new school wardrobe or to buy their new car. You can do that legally. You're allowed to do it. However, that's not the best idea. What you want to do is minimize the loans as much as you can. So I know a lot of people use the FAFSA program to get their loans. If you're not familiar with the acronym, you can definitely check it out. That's how most people apply for. It's a general application for student loans and federal aid. It's a website. You can check it out. If your kids are still in high school, don't worry. They're going to start sending you stuff about it real soon. You're going to get sick of it. Anyway, I talked to a college counselor, and one of the things she was telling me is that, you know, she'll have kids who have gotten grants. They've gotten different types of stipends and scholarships. They've got work study, which Chris mentioned earlier, and we're going to get into that a little bit more. And then they accept a package that's like $50,000 over the amount that they need for school, because on FAFSA, when you click it, you can just click accept at the top and you accept your entire package, not realizing that there are individual loans, there are individual items inside the package that you can either accept or decline. So let's say you have a student, they need $50,000 a year for school. I'm making up a number. Don't freak out, parents. I don't actually know how much school costs a year. Sorry. They need $50,000 a year for school. They were able to get $35,000 of it in either grants or scholarships. They were able to be granted another 10 in work study, which, as Chris mentioned earlier, work study is basically where they tell you, hey, you submit to this program. We're going to give you $10,000 towards school. I'm making up numbers again. But you have to work for it. So basically you would have a $10,000 a year stipend, let's call it. Well, you'd be salaried, right? You're going to get paid $10,000 over this semester or this year as long as you work the amount of hours that are required. So that's work study. And then the last one would be your loans. And there's three types of loans. You have federally funded loans, which have a standard interest rate. I think it's like 8.5 or 6.2. It's changed in the last few years. You have some that are actually from local government, so like the state of Texas might give you a loan. And then you have the privately funded loans, which are honestly the absolute last resort. Hey Curtis, thanks for joining us today. They're the absolute last resort, okay? So that's the order I want you to go in when you're looking at your FAFSA package. You want to start with free money. Accept your free money. Accept your work study if it's available. And look at the terms on the loans, right? So you want to check out interest rates, when they're going to start charging you interest. So some, like federally funded student loans, the interest doesn't start to accrue until you leave school. If any of those words sound ridiculous, please just let me know in the comments and I will explain. Well, you want to find out when the interest starts to accrue, and you also want to find out when they want you to start making your first payment. Those things will help you to make better decisions on which loans to accept and which ones to decline, and only accept what you need. If you got $35,000 in scholarships and you got $10,000 in work study money, you only need an extra $5,000. Don't accept an extra $40,000. Now you may be looking at me and going, Christian, we already did. They just went to school. They accepted an extra $40,000. Send it back. That's all you have to do. You send it back. You can write them a check as soon as it hits the student's account and send it right on back. It's like magic, okay? Get yourself out of that situation as quickly as you can. That's my advice. If you have taken out loans and they're already starting to accrue interest and you're not sure what to do, you can definitely give me a call and I'll help you guys through that process. So those are my tips for the people who are planning for school, either for themselves or for their teenage children. School choice is important. Apply for all the scholarships. Get your work on and only take out loans for what you absolutely need. A brand new car is not a need, just in case you were wondering. All right, so last three tips are actually for people who are in the process of putting people through school, who just took them and dropped them off. First one, don't buy everything you see in the Target/Bed Bath & Beyond magazine. They do not need it all. they may need some of it. It would be wise to go up there and check out the room before you buy it all. I'll tell you this right now, and I know my mom's listening, but when I went to school, we bought all this stuff, okay? Had a full truckload of stuff that we took to A&M. There was so much stuff we didn't even open. I can tell you right now, I know there's one item that I did not open until I moved out on my own about 5 years after I went to, no, so it probably would have been about 7 years after I went to college. We bought this thing freshman year, and I didn't use it until I moved to my own apartment. It was a drying rack. I had zero need for it when I was in college. Everything I owned went in the dryer because we had dryers everywhere. I didn't really take great care of my clothes, I'm going to admit that, but everything I owned went in the dryer. So I didn't need a drying rack. Now when I moved out on my own, I take better care of my stuff. I put the nice stuff on a drying rack, you know, the sweaters and the whatnots. But I didn't need it. My mom bought it, and it was unnecessary. Now here's what I'll tell you. You might again be saying, Christian, we already bought all that stuff. You can take it back. If you haven't opened it, and sometimes even if you have, you can take it back. Worst case scenario, sell it on eBay. There might be somebody who actually needs it right now, okay? So don't buy everything you see in those magazines. Number 2, for the current students or those who are ready to go back to school, you should look into buying used or renting your textbooks. This is something that I came across when I was in college. I think it's amazing. You can save a lot of money buying used textbooks or even renting them. The one that I used to use was Chegg.com, but there's you have Amazon, Half.eBay, and Velour. They all rent textbooks and sell used textbooks. If you're worried about whether or not it's the right edition, you need to be more concerned about content than necessarily the ISBN number, which is a little tracking number on the back. They update them all the time, and they cost a lot. And so if you want the new one, you're going to have to pay full price, kind of like getting an iPhone, right? If you want the brand new one, you got to pay full price, but if you want the slightly older one, you pay a little less. Now, is the older one bad? No. Is the information wrong? Probably not. Unless it's like from 1970, you're probably good, okay? If the last edition was released 3 years ago, chances are they haven't changed that much information. But if you're concerned about it, you can usually either talk to the professor or the publisher. You can find somebody who has one, who's already bought it. You will have classmates who come to school on the first day and they have all their textbooks bought. You can take a look through it and compare it, and if you find out, hey, my book doesn't match up, especially if you rented it, you can just return it and go ahead and get the brand new one if you really need it. Chances are you really aren't, though, honestly, unless it's a decent update like in the last 10-15 years and they haven't done one for the last decade. You probably don't need the brand new book, okay? Last but not least, avoid credit cards. I can tell you this is what happened to me. We call it Gig'em Week. A lot of people there call it Fish Week, Freshman Week, whatever week. It's the week right before school starts. Ours is called Gig'em Week. Gig'em They have these tables set up in like the common areas, and they offer you either a free t-shirt or a Chipotle burrito. That's what they offered me when I got my first credit card. They offer, I mean, you'd be surprised some of the stuff they offer. Frisbees, footballs, banners, like I said, t-shirts, just to sign up for the credit card. Now, at the time, when I was in college, I happened not to use mine, right? But I do know people who signed up for those credit cards and immediately charged them up for things they didn't need a lot of times. Some people for things they did need. And so I'm going to address both of those. If you're going to sign up for a credit card strictly for the purpose of getting your free t-shirt or your free burrito, the second it comes in the mail, cut it up. You don't need it, because all it is temptation to turn everything that you really want to do into an emergency. New outfit for the party at night? Not an emergency. Okay? What's an emergency? You broke your toe. That's an emergency. You need to pay for the ambulance. That's an emergency. But not the party. Not that your friends want you to contribute to trash can punch. You know what that is. Or jungle juice. Y'all know what that is too. That's not an emergency, right? So if you're gonna do this, if you're going to go and sign up for this credit card, I know a lot of you are hungry and you want these free food that they offer. Cut that thing up the second it comes in the mail. If it comes to your mama's house, tell her mama cut that thing up when you see it, right? Okay. Second, if you need something, if the reason you're getting a credit card is because you don't have the money to buy things you need, I'm going to go back to number 3 from earlier, which was take out loans for what you need. The interest rate on credit cards, especially for young people, is immensely higher than what you're going to pay on especially your federally or state funded student loans. If it's private student loans, it might be close, but probably not. Okay, so if you don't have enough money to, like I said, to pay your rent or to eat, number 1, you probably need to look into lowering some other expenses, and number 2, if those things aren't being covered, that's where you want to look at those student loans of it after free money and work, right? Free money, work, then student loans. Free money, work, then student loans. Hey, wait, free money, work, then student loans, right? Make a song out of it so you don't forget. Okay, so that's the last tip. Avoid those credit cards like the plague. They will hound you, all right? So those are our college tips for today. The second surprise announcement is I posted a few weeks ago that my book would be coming out shortly, and the time has arrived. The book has been published. 7 Ways to Improve Your Me-Economy, Answers to Frequently Asked Financial Questions, is now available on Amazon. So I need you to go check it out. I want you to go and read the book. The reason I wrote this book is so that I can encourage people to take control of their money so that they can start not just knowing better, but doing better with their finances. You are not alone if you're struggling. 70% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, and that is why I wrote this book. It does not have to be this way. You can improve your life. Yay, woohoo! You can improve your life, your financial futures, but you got to start doing better, not just knowing better. So if you get this book, it's great. You can know better, but use what's in this book to do better. So the regular price is $9.99, but for the launch, the special price is $7.99. That's right, $7.99. So I'm going to put the link to thank you, Stephanie. I'm going to put the link to where you can purchase the book in the comments to this video and on both of my pages. And but if you want to go look right now, if you're on Amazon, you got it on your phone. You can look up Me-Economy, either in quotes or without. I'm going to pop up first. That's the great thing about making up words. I pop up first. So I would love for all of you to check out my book. It's going to have some great information in there for you. And if any of the things that we have discussed in today's video you need help with, you are sending kids to college, they're there, and you're trying to figure out exactly how you're going to pay for it, how you're going to make it work, I would love to help you. You can feel free to hit me up. Hi, Monet. Thanks for joining us today. You can feel free to hit me up on Facebook or Instagram. I'm also on Instagram at Do Better Financial, or you can email me at christian@dobetterfinancial.com. I would love to thank all of the people who helped me get this book published and created. First of all, my business coach, Angel Santos. She was the one who encouraged me to write it in the first place. I want to thank what I like to call my conscripted editing team, which is basically consisting of my best friends and family. I love you guys, especially those who are my grammar Nazis. That's not my gift. I do numbers, not grammar, but they are wonderful because they make books. They made the book a whole lot better. I want to thank everybody who helped with the cover by voting either on Facebook or Instagram. I used all of your feedback to come up with a cover that I thought looked pretty amazing, and you guys seemed to agree. And last but not least, I would like to thank a young lady named Sanusi on Fiverr. If you have ever tried to publish a book on Amazon, they have a very interesting formatting process which ate up and spit out my book. So I sent it to Sanusi on Fiverr. If you are trying to publish a book and the formatting's horrendous, call Sanusi. I'm going to put her information in the comments of this video as well, just in case. Thank you so much for joining me this week. I will see you next Monday at the same time, 7:30 p.m. You do not want to miss it. Have a great evening.